The Honorable President.
Speaker of the National Assembly, Ms. Bale Gambete, honorable members, distinguished guests, fellow South Africans, Mr. Steenhuisen, I brought you a cigar today. In nearly 100 days since we set out as a nation, many of our people have been enthused about this new moment and period we are in. It is nearly 100 days since we decided together to make a clear and decisive break with the discord and divisions of recent times. It was a moment at which we made plain our clear determination to act with urgency and resolve to transform our society, to do everything that we could to grow our economy and to create jobs that our people so desperately need. We undertook together to rid our country of corruption and state capture and confront the crimes that daily prey upon our communities. Now, as we gather to debate the budget debate of the Presidency, we can speak of a new mood in our country. This has manifested itself, for example, in a massive jump in consumer confidence reaching record levels in the recent and last quarter. Business confidence indicators produced by the South African Chamber of Commerce and Industry and by the Bureau of Economic Research point to a very positive trend. The 11-point increase between the fourth quarter of 2017 and the last quarter of 2018 in the Bureau's index is quite remarkable. Many institutions have undertaken a positive re-evaluation of South Africa's economic prospects. Earlier this year, the Standard Bank researchers predicted that in 2018, it will feel like the pendulum has swung. More importantly, the new mood in the country has manifested itself in a population that is more confident about its future and more excited about the prospects of meaningful change to come. We are in no doubt about the depth and the extent of the challenges that we face as a people and as a nation. We have made significant progress over nearly 25 years to develop and transform our economy. However, our economy remains largely characterized by the structural flaws of a racist and patriarchal past. Millions remain outside of the productive economy activity. They are unable to contribute much as they want to, and they are also unable to benefit. The majority of these people are young, and they are women. They live far from the economic centers. They do not have skills, work experience, or networks to find gainful employment, and they do not have the assets or the markets they need to start their own enterprises. At the same time, we have had to contend in recent years with a sluggish economy and an unemployment rate that has refused to budge. We have experienced government failures in some public institutions and state-owned enterprises and are daily learning more about concerted and orchestrated efforts to capture sections of the state. We have identified our problems. We know what our problems are. We know what our weaknesses are. We have acknowledged our shortcomings, and we have begun to work in earnest to address these problems, these shortcomings. We are now poised to make significant progress now that we fully know what we are dealing with. We are now poised also to build the South Africa that we want. Over the last few months, we have taken decisive steps to improve the business environment, provide confidence to those who would like to invest in our country, and also to promote the country to investors. We have also ensured that there should be policy certainty, and we've also ensured that we undertake the work to strengthen state-owned enterprises and create pathways into employment for the youth. We are working with labor, with business and communities to forge a new social compact about job creation, which will form the basis for a broader compact around growth, development, and transformation. The Job Summit that will be held later this year is an important part of this effort. With preparations already underway in NEDLAC, the Job Summit needs to produce extraordinary and far-reaching measures that will enable our country to create jobs. We have learned the lesson of previous summits and accords and are determined that the outcomes of the Job Summit should be practical, they should be measurable, and they should be effectively monitored and taken ownership of by all parties. Our social partners have indicated that although they carry mandates from different constituencies, they are bound together as South Africans seeking an inclusive economy and a better future for everyone. In forging a social compact on jobs, we will look to recent examples of collaboration as well as partnership. We will look to the agreements on a national minimum wage that were struck and also agreements on how to stabilize our labor market. The legislation that will shortly be debated in this House before going to the NCOP will open the way for the introduction of the very first national minimum wage in the history of this country. We should not underestimate this significant development. It will be the culmination of a struggle that dates back to the Congress of the People in 1955, and which has taken nearly 4 years of intensive negotiations among social partners. In another example of effective collaboration, the Youth Employment Service, which was launched in March, promises to equip hundreds of thousands of young people for the world of work over its 3 years. Already, 20 early adopter companies have committed to providing 22,000 work experience opportunities, with a further 18 companies engaging intensively with the YES team to unlock a further 21,000 opportunities. So in a short space of time, just in 6 weeks, we've been able to get to almost 50,000 job opportunities for young people. This initiative will bridge the critical gap between education and the world of work, significantly increasing the chances of participants to find work after 1 year. We are forging ahead with the introduction of phased higher education for poor students. That is free higher education for poor students. From 2018, first-year students from poor and working-class backgrounds are being provided with bursaries for the full cost of study. This will massively expand access for poor young people to higher education, reducing the country's skills deficit and increasing their prospects for employment. None of these initiatives will amount to much if we do not grow our economy and grow it in a manner that benefits all our people. As the World Bank's recent diagnostic report on South Africa observes, to create more jobs, the South African economy needs to grow much faster than it has since 1994. It says a job is the most important way out of poverty, to overcome economic vulnerability, and for transforming the economy to become more racially representative of the population of South Africa. And we cannot achieve growth if we do not massively increase the level of investment in the productive economy. This is why we have launched an ambitious new investment drive that aims to mobilize $100 billion over the next 5 years. We have appointed 4 special envoys on investment to meet with potential investors both in South Africa, on the rest of the African continent, and major centers around the world. Working together with the relevant government departments and agencies, the special envoys are building a book of actual and potential investments ahead of the investment conference that will be held in October of this year. We are using this investment drive to strengthen agencies such as Invest South Africa to become formidable instruments of investment promotion and facilitation. What we seek is an army of investment envoys who appreciate the absolute necessity of establishing and expanding businesses across the country, and who are also prepared to use whatever means they have at their disposal to promote their country, South Africa, as a desirable destination for investment. Land reform is an essential part of our economic growth strategy. Through our land reform program, we hope to unlock the resources of our country that have not been properly utilized because they were a preserve of just a small minority. Land is an important economic resource that should be spread amongst our people so that the land should be worked for the benefit of our country. The Freedom Charter says that the land shall be shared amongst those who work it. We're encouraging all South Africans to engage in the national debate around the proposal for the expropriation of land without compensation. We commend this House once again for its groundbreaking resolution on the matter, as well as the thousands of South Africans who have already made submissions, reinforcing the value of consultation and collaboration. The process of arriving at our world-renowned Constitution involved more than 1 million submissions from a variety of South Africans. We have already reached well over 140,000 submissions with regard to proposals that are being made on the land question. It is possible that we may hit 1 million submissions, which goes to prove that the question of land to the majority of South Africans is indeed an important matter. It goes beyond just being a matter of dignity. It goes beyond just being a matter of history, but it also talks about their economic well-being. Through effective land redistribution and tenure reform, we will be able to unlock the value of one of the country's most important resources. We're working to ensure that the urban poor can own and occupy land close to places of work, social services, and education. We are responding to the need of our people for land, for housing. Municipalities and state-owned enterprises need to release unused land and service sites for housing so that our people must have houses, so that they also do not resort to self-help measures through the illegal occupation of land. We condemn illegal land occupation and rather redirect our people to go to land that will be made available to them as our municipalities take land through either expropriation or other means, land that is unused, so that it can be put to good use in the hands of our people. We are working also to accelerate the process of agrarian reform, bringing more poor and black people into productive agricultural activity, expanding the country's agricultural output. The Presidency will oversee the work of departments such as cooperative governance and traditional affairs, agriculture, forestry and fisheries, and land reform and rural development in making possible an agrarian revolution in our country. We are also working hard to create an environment that encourages investment, to make our country more competitive, and also to lower the costs of doing business. An important part of that effort is to stabilize strategic state-owned enterprises and the implementation of measures to improve their financial and operational performance. As an immediate step, we have moved quickly to address governance challenges by replacing the boards of state-owned entities such as Dinel, PRASA, Transnet, and earlier this year, Eskom. This has repositioned these state-owned enterprises so that they can now focus on their mandates, their developmental mandates, and indeed of making sure that they operate profitably in the interests of our people. The new boards have already begun work to scrutinize transactions that may be irregular and to improve the functioning of these entities as a whole. We have signed a number of proclamations instructing the Special Investigating Unit to investigate allegations of wrongdoing in a number of our SOEs. We are also encouraged by the activism of Parliament, which is demanding accountability and exposing impropriety. Cabinet has agreed on the establishment of a presidential state-owned enterprise council, which will usher a new era in the management of our state-owned companies. Half the members will consist of ministers, while the others will be people from business, some of them will be experts, and some will be a various number of stakeholders. By bringing expertise from outside government and by ensuring the attendance of CEOs of some of these companies, we will be empowering the various shareholder ministers to ensure all strategic SOEs play an effective role in expanding the capacity and the potential of our economy. In addition to determining an appropriate shareholder ownership model, the Council will oversee interventions to strengthen governance, address immediate liquidity challenges, implement turnaround strategies, investigate allegations of corruption, and take steps to act against those who are implicated. Through the Presidential Infrastructure Coordinating Commission, we are working to ensure that our substantial investment in social and economic infrastructure contributes to job creation, industrialization, and transformation. We are expanding our economic capacity and reducing the cost of doing business. We are also making progress in satisfying the need for policy certainty as well as consistency. Consultation on the revised mining charter is at an advanced stage. Government has paid particular attention to engagements with affected communities across the country, convinced that consensus and collaboration are crucial for the growth and the development of our mining industry, particularly if we want to transform the mining industry as a sunrise industry once again. While there are still some critical issues that need attention, we are certain that the charter, the mining charter that is, once finalized, will balance the need for meaningful transformation in the sector with the need to increase investment, employment, and sustainability in the mining industry. Cabinet will soon be finalizing a policy on the allocation of high-demand radio frequency. This will enable the Department of Telecommunications and Postal Services to issue a legal framework that will enable the regulator to license the spectrum. It will significantly expand access to broadband and other telecommunication services. It will also encourage competition. It will lower costs of communication and ensure sustainability. If we are to succeed in building an inclusive economy, we need to draw on all available knowledge, experience, as well as capabilities. We are therefore in the process of establishing the Presidential Economic Advisory Council, which will bring together South African and international experts in various disciplines to advise the President and the government on economic policy and its implementation. In forging a social compact, the state undertakes to build strong, durable institutions that are accountable, transparent, responsive to the needs of our people. In this regard, one of the most pressing challenges is to deal decisively with state capture as well as corruption. We are therefore taking steps to strengthen the criminal justice system, particularly its leadership, through changes that we are effecting in key institutions, and we are also taking action against those implicated in wrongdoing. The Commission of Inquiry in state capture has been constituted, as we all know, under Deputy Chief Justice Raymond Zondo, who will soon provide updates on the Commission's progress as appropriate. The stabilization of the South African Revenue Service has received priority attention. I have today signed a proclamation establishing a commission of inquiry into tax administration and governance chaired by former Judge Robert Nugent and assisted by Mr. Michael Katz, to examine the structure and operational capabilities of the State Security Agency. We are revitalizing the police force. Crucial management appointments are being made and specialized units are also being properly capacitated. The effective functioning of government is a priority to us. A review of the size, composition, and efficiency of government is being undertaken as we speak by a task team led by the Presidency. It is examining in detail the modalities of a state that is leaner, smarter, adaptable, and more capable of delivering on its mandate to improve the lives of South Africans. This work will be completed and be ready for implementation by the start of the 6th Democratic Administration. As indicated in the State of the Nation address, I have begun visits to government departments to ensure sharper strategic focus and greater alignment on the implementation of our priorities. This has given us the opportunity to engage not only with the ministers and deputy ministers, but with the key leadership in various departments, as in directors general, deputy directors general, chief directors, and a number of directorate people in various of these departments. We've also been able to meet the staff in the various departments at HQ level, and the visits have done much to boost morale and enable departmental staff to understand their roles in promoting effective service delivery. Our overriding concern in all matters of governance is to ensure that we put our people first. This was evident most recently in the Northwest, where following protests from residents and the report of an interministerial task team, Cabinet decided to intervene in terms of Section 100 of the Constitution to place provincial departments under national administration. This is to ensure that government services are delivered effectively and financial management is properly structured and improved, and allegations of corruption are effectively and decisively dealt with. Our experience in the Northwest has taught us that we should be more actively involved as the national government in assisting and supporting our provinces and giving real meaning and effect to the constitutional principle of cooperative governance. Our intervention in the Northwest has also revealed that many municipalities in that province, and indeed in others, are in a state of near collapse. This is a matter of great national concern that requires the urgent and dedicated attention of the highest office in the country. We have begun preparations for a presidential local government summit that will bring together the relevant ministers, premiers, MECs, mayors, speakers, MMCs, whips, and other councillors, traditional leaders, municipal managers, and CFOs, to focus on the challenges that our municipal government or local government structure is facing. The situation in local government requires firm decisions and resolute action. It also requires effective monitoring and improved accountability. This we will do because we have to act in the interests of all our people. The prosperity of South Africans cannot be separated from the progress of our neighbors on the African continent. For our economy to grow, for our manufacturing output to expand, for our goods and services to find new markets, we need an integrated Africa where trade, investment, and skills can flow freely. That is why we have been actively involved in the development of an agreement on the African Continental Free Trade Area, the interactions we have had with our neighbors in Namibia, in Angola, in Botswana, in Mozambique, and Zimbabwe so far has convinced us that the prospects for regional economic integration and cooperation are now more greater than ever before, and we are committed to push ahead with this agenda. This year, South Africa will be participating in several important international summits, including the meeting of the G7 countries in Canada in June, the BRICS summit in Johannesburg in July, the AU summit in Mauritania in July, the SADC Ordinary Summit in Namibia in August, and the Forum on China and Africa Cooperation in Beijing in September. In all our international engagements, we are guided by the need to advance South Africa's national interests alongside the promotion of multilateralism, global equality, and human rights. This informs our involvement in international efforts and essentially underpins our international policy. As the co-chair of the ILO Global Commission on the Future of Work in Geneva, we are grappling and dealing with a fundamental issue about the future of work, which is driven by technological and demographic and environmental change. The new world of work promises benefits, but also presents new types of vulnerabilities, and our Commission is therefore aimed at making sure that we protect the vulnerable people of the world. The work of the Commission has great relevance for South Africa, which is having to confront new potential sources of inequality while still grappling with the injustices of the past. The outcomes of the Commission will greatly assist us in our efforts to create and retain decent jobs in the context of the fourth industrial revolution. We are at work doing everything to make South Africa work and also to get the people of our country back to work. Madam Speaker, honorable members, at the very heart of our country's new dawn is the desire by our people to be part of building a brighter tomorrow for all South Africans. Wherever we go, South Africans from all walks of life are saying, please send us. Many of them, wherever you meet them, They call, they write, they email, they text, and they say, please send us because we want to contribute to make South Africa better. They stop you in the street and they say they want to be there for the poor and the hungry and the homeless. They say they want to be there when our economy grows, when we build new factories and create new jobs. They want to be there when women and children can walk the streets of our beautiful country without any fear. Across the country, there are many people, many of whom do not have much themselves, who are working to improve the lives of others. From the churches that are running soup kitchens, to the pensioners who are caring for orphans and the township residents who have set up libraries for local children, South Africans are using their hands to build a new society and a better society, brick by brick and hand by hand. From the professionals who mentor young people to the businesses that support emerging entrepreneurs and the NGOs who care for the homeless, the elderly and the vulnerable, South Africans are coming forward as agents of meaningful change. Many South Africans want to know, as we meet them across the length and the breadth of the country, they want to know how they can contribute, how they can make a difference. In answering this great need and in celebration of the 100th centenary of Nelson Mandela's birth, there is much that we can all do. And this we can do as we celebrate Nelson Mandela's life. This we can do as we remember him. But this we can also do as we express ourselves in solidarity with South Africans. On the government side, we will proceed to do everything that we can to improve the lives of our people. There is much that we can all do as South Africans, as citizens of this country, particularly in this year as we remember Nelson Mandela. And in memory of Madiba, in recognition of the great sacrifices that he made and his tireless commitment to improving the lives of South Africans and the most vulnerable, there is something that all of us, many of us as South Africans, can do. And what we can do does not need to be financial. What we can do can include just being there for those who are struggling, for those who are in need, for those who need help. We are therefore looking for people with skills, people with time, people who can commit to lend a hand to those community-based projects through mentoring, training, capacity building. In this way, we could provide South Africans with a tangible opportunity and with who can make a significant impact to be an integral part of fighting against poverty and improving the lives of our people. This is where active citizenry, which we envisaged in the National Development Plan, comes to life. And therefore, a number of individuals, along with them who have already shown their willingness to participate, there is a lot that each one of us can do, particularly people who are sitting in this house, we can demonstrate what can be done. I have, and this is a private initiative that we can all drive, I've decided to contribute half of my presidential salary to a fund that will be managed by the Nelson Mandela Fund. This is a private, citizen-driven initiative that will ask all of those with the means to contribute a small portion of their salaries to support the many projects to build a nation. This fund, through discussions that we have had with the Nelson Mandela Foundation, will be launched on the 18th of July to mark the 100th anniversary of Madiba's birth, and will be called the Nelson Mandela Tumamina Fund. As we undertake this important work together, and as we travel along the path of growth and transformation, we should be imbued by this new spirit that has engulfed our country. In truth, it is a spirit rekindled in the speech that Nelson Mandela made when he was released, when he said, "I am putting my life in the hands of my people." It is this spirit of Nelson Mandela and Albertina Sisulu, a spirit of solidarity, a spirit of service, a spirit of shared humanity that we should seek to emulate. It is the spirit that has moved us to put our wars behind us, to cast aside our differences, and to forge a new nation together. We have traveled far. There is still much that still has to be done. By working together, government continuing to do much that it has to do to improve the lives of our people. On the side, we can act as citizens to improve the lives of those who are vulnerable. We can act to be in solidarity with many South Africans. We can draw on our resources and capabilities by embracing that which unites us and confronting that which divides us. I have no doubt that we will reach our destination. It is a destination that we can soon have in sight, and it is a destination which, if we work together and focus on one thing and one thing only, to improve the lives of our people, particularly us who have been given so much, particularly us who are in leadership positions, particularly ourselves who have so much influence to improve the lives of our people. Let us join hands and act in solidarity and act together with our government to improve the lives of South Africans. With this, Madam Speaker, it is an honor and a privilege to commend the Budget 1 vote to this House. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable President.